Welcome, True Wisdom family. Welcome back to our channel. Today's video is something special. My daughter is going to be sharing with you one of her famous recipes. Today is Wellness Wednesday, and on Wednesdays we will be bringing you everything health and wellness. This soup is called a kale soup. Now, I know some of you might not like kale or don't even know what kale is, but there are so many benefits. And this is a great way to prepare kale that is beneficial, not just tasted, but beneficial for you and your family. So check this video out, like, share, and subscribe. Don't just watch the videos, guys, like it. All right, see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Hello! Okay, welcome back to the channel, guys. So, you guys know me as Tinisa, singer, dancer, model, actress, magician, all other things. But today, I'm gonna be a chef. And I know what you're thinking. Tinisa, is there anything else that you can't do? The answer is
no. I do everything.
Thank you. Okay. So, today I'm going to teach you guys how to do my famous white soup. Alright, so I put all the ingredients here on the counter, so I'm just going to go through it and let you guys know what you need to make it. So, what you will need, a little bit of oil. You don't need a lot of oil for this recipe, it's only a little bit. 2 bags of kale, or however much kale you want in your soup. This soup is really a however much you feel type of soup. So if you only want 1 bag of kale in your soup, put 1 bag of kale in your soup. If you want more kale in your soup, you do that. You'll need ground beef. We don't eat pork, okay? So usually other people, when they make this soup, they will put Italian sausage, but I don't eat pork and neither does my family, so we use ground beef and it tastes just the same, if not probably better. So you'll need ground beef. I don't know how much this is, but again, however much ground beef you want in your soup, you put in your soup. My family really loves this recipe, and my dad loves a lot of meat. So we're using this much ground beef. Put a lot of ground beef if you love it. You'll also need some potatoes. Now the potatoes are really big here in Mexico. They're gigantic. So you could start with 4. I start with 4 potatoes and then see how much, if I want to add more or less in the recipe, and you'll see when I do that. You'll need like a 1/4 of a white onion, not a lot. You won't need a lot of onion for this recipe, okay? You'll need heavy whipping cream, this size, okay? This size right here, a full big old 900 milliliter bottle, okay? And if you have the little ones, I would get like 4 of them, 3 to 4 of them. You'll need garlic cloves, a lot, a little bit of butter, and some cheese. Now, I don't have Parmesan cheese. If you have Parmesan cheese, use Parmesan cheese.
Please use Parmesan cheese.
Okay, thank you. But I don't have Parmesan cheese, so I'm gonna use the blended cheese that we get from Costco when I wanna make a quesadilla. Yeah, she's bilingual. Okay, when I want to make a quesadilla, I use this cheese. My family uses this cheese, so it's gonna work just good. But if you have Parmesan, please use Parmesan. Preferably like 3 to 4 bags. Sargento is the Parmesan cheese we usually get, or we get like a Mexican brand. But if you're getting Sargento or like the bagged Parmesan cheese from Walmart, get like 3 or 4, depending on how big the bag is. You'll need about 2 of them to go into the soup, and then maybe 1 or 2 bags for like garnish on top of the soup when you plate it. All right, so these are the ingredients that you'll use. You'll also need seasonings, because I am of, okay? So we're gonna season things. I'm not of. All right, so let's get some seasonings in here. You don't need a lot of seasonings for this recipe. I know. The black in you is like, Tinisa, what? We season a lot. I know, but you really don't need a lot for this recipe. So you'll need salt. Actually, whatever you feel you want to season the meat with in this recipe, you can do that. Go ahead. This is your world, and we're all just living in it, you know? So whatever you feel is good for you, you do it, okay? So I'm just gonna get some salt, some onion powder. If you have garlic powder, you can use that too, along with the onion. I have some cayenne pepper and some paprika. And I also need some red pepper flakes. Now you're not gonna season the meat with your red pepper flakes, but you will see what we use this red pepper flakes for at the end of the soup, okay? And if you want, you could add a little bit of Cajun, not a lot because Cajun seasoning is very strong. So don't put like a whole load. It's not a crab boil. It's not a seafood boil, okay? It's a white soup. Relax. All right, so those are all the seasonings you need. Okay, so let's get started.
Okay, so as I'm editing, I realized that I forgot to tell you guys one of the most important parts of the ingredient list.
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
I'm so embarrassed. My fault, y'all. My fault. That's my bad. So please make sure to add chicken broth or chicken bouillon cubes to your ingredient list. If you don't have chicken broth, you can use the chicken bouillon cubes as a substitute. It tastes just the same, and I'll explain that deeper in the video on how to use it and stuff like that. But please add chicken broth or chicken bouillon cubes to your ingredient list. Okay, bye. Sorry guys. Okay, resume the video.
So let's get started. So I'm gonna put, you also need a really big pot because this is a lot of soup. So you'll need a big pot. All right. So first thing that I like to do when I cook, because I am a perfectionist, I like to prepare my meats and my vegetables and everything that I'm going to cut up. I'm gonna prepare them prior to me even starting. So I've already washed my potatoes. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually cut the potatoes. What you're gonna do is you're gonna cut off all the impurities that you see. So like these brown spots or like dents that you don't want in your soup right here. You can just cut them off if you don't wanna have them in your soup, you don't wanna eat them. You can cut them off, okay? And then what you're gonna do is you're actually going to cut your potatoes into little spheres, little circles. Okay, this is obviously an impurity, so you're not gonna use that, but you know what I mean? Little spheres, little circles, okay? Really thin, don't make them too thick because they will take up space in the pot, and there's a lot of stuff that actually has to go into the pot, and you don't want your pot to overflow. I've done that before, it's not cute. Okay, so I'm gonna continue to cut up the potatoes and the onion. You're gonna cut up the onion in small little, you're just gonna dice it in small little pieces. This recipe calls for minced garlic, but I don't have a mincer, so I just cut up the garlic into small pieces as well. However much garlic you want in your recipe, in your soup, put as much. If you're a garlic girl like me and my family, you're gonna use a lot of garlic. Okay, so cut them up into small pieces. So I'm going to cut up the potatoes, cut up the onions, cut up the garlic, and then we'll be right back. So, like I said earlier, this is a recipe where you just kind of feel how much things you want in your soup. So, these potatoes are pretty big. Usually, if your potatoes are like this big, and I know in the US, the potatoes are much smaller. So maybe you would need like 4 or 5, but I just cut up 3 potato slices, and then we'll see how it goes from there. If I want more, I'll just cut up more, but if I don't, and that's fine, then we'll do that as well. All right, and now I'm going to cut up some onion. Now, you don't need a lot of onion for this recipe. You really don't. You just need like a little bit. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slice it up like real tiny, like nothing major, nothing huge, nothing big. Okay, and before you go all crazy on me, yes, I did wash my hands. Okay, I did wash my hands before I started cooking. All right, so don't freak out. I don't need the kitchen police on me. the kitchen brigade on me or anything. The kitchen mafia, relax. I wash my hands. Relax, Gordon Ramsay. Okay, thank you. All right, so this is all the onion you'll need for this recipe. If you want more onion in your soup, like I said, do what you want. It's your world. You're all just living in it. All right, so now the garlic. Okay, now I like a lot of garlic in my soup. So does my family. So I'm gonna cut up a good chunk of it, and I'm gonna put it in my soup. Okay, and you really won't taste the garlic and the onion in the soup. They kind of like boil away in the soup. It's really just for flavor to add to the broth, which is why they'll boil away into the broth. So if you're worried about like a texture thing, I know I have a problem with texture sometimes. So like if I eat garlic bread and I bite into a chunk of garlic, I'm throwing away the garlic bread and probably my mouth for the rest of the year. So for people out there who have like a texture problem, you won't taste the garlic, I promise. And you cut it up as small as you want so that you don't taste it. So yeah, you just need like just a little, you know, 1, 2, 3, cut up as much as you can, little tiny little nubs. All right, so I'm gonna finish the rest of these and then we'll come back. So we just cut up the onions, cut up the garlic I'm gonna use, and the potatoes. So now we're actually gonna start cooking. So you're gonna take your ground beef and your oil. So now we're just gonna pour a little bit of oil, just a little bit, not too much. You don't wanna put a lot of oil in your soup, okay? You're just going to use the oil to actually cook your ground beef. Now, like I said, this soup is customizable, so if you don't want to use ground beef, if you're not a red meat type of person, you can add chicken instead, you could do turkey instead, do whatever is best for you and your household, okay? All right, so now we're just gonna wait for the oil to get hot. Since we're working with gas, this stove gets hot pretty quickly. All right, so we'll come back. So the oil is ready, so now I'm just gonna dump all of my meat in there. This is all the meat that I'm using. Okay. Again, if you don't want to use ground beef, you really and truly don't have to, but that's just me and what I choose to do. And there's my family. And don't worry, if you don't like oil popping on you, neither do I, but it's just because the meat was defrosting, so there's a little bit of water on it, but it'll stop. I saw the water is up. Now I'm gonna chop up the meat. I'm gonna turn up the heat a little bit. Now that the water is fully out, you see it's not as ploppy. It's not plopping as much. So I'm gonna now start separating the meat with my spoon here. Okay. And then once I get the meat separated as much as I can with my spoon, obviously there are tools that you can use to do it better, but I'm going to season it. So I'm going to go in with some salt. I'm going to go in with the rest of this onion powder here. Just going to go in with the rest of that. I'm going to go in with some, what is this again, cayenne? I always get cayenne. Don't want a lot of cayenne because cayenne is spicy. And if you don't like spice in your soup, you may not want to put a lot of cayenne. And then of course paprika, which we all know doesn't really do much, just for color. And then now that that's done, we're going to start actually cooking the meat. Okay. Now ground beef doesn't take a long time to cook at all. And then of course, once it's all cooked fully and everything, you can taste it to see if you like how it's been seasoned. You can add anything if you need to. Okay, so now we're just gonna sit here and wait for the meat to be fully cooked. And we'll come back. Okay, so now that the hamburger meat is done cooking, what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the heat down on this. And we're actually gonna take the ground beef out and put it into this bowl over here. Okay, so you're gonna set the ground beef aside. All right, setting the ground beef aside, and you're gonna put it away for later. All right, so I'm gonna just put all this ground beef into the bowl. All right, guys, so now
Hey, True Wisdom TV family, thank you so much for watching this video. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And please stay tuned for part 2 of this video. Peace.